Engine 1 from Car 1. Car 1's on scene at Subin Command. Give me a CAN report.
What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein. Stickers of the CAN report. Mazel tov, everybody. Coming at you with a great guest from Colorado, Paul Shoemaker. I am excited to be talking with him tonight. He has been around teaching a lot of people on electric vehicles, great knowledge, great guy who's got a lot to offer, a lot to give to all of us. He's the owner of NextLevel Training Network, and I am excited to see what he can give to all of us for EV knowledge and everything else that he has learned along the way. Paul, thank you so much for being on the CAN report, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. I'm excited. Love
yeah, my pleasure.
Platforms, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I'm actually really excited. As we were just talking, I met you roughly 2 years ago. You definitely don't remember who I am. I didn't have this platform. I'm just some schmuck from New Hampshire, but you presented in Hudson, New Hampshire with your platform, with your presentation on EV fires, and it was great. And I really look forward to hearing more about what you're doing and the education you're providing for everyone. And I'm just excited to be able to do this and get everybody to know who you are, what you're doing, and get the knowledge out. There's a lot of knowledge out there about EV vehicles, but you did a great presentation. And I learned a lot. Like we said earlier, I didn't fall asleep. I didn't find it boring. I didn't find it dry. So I know that you are passionate about it and you love to deliver some nice fluid material. So I really do appreciate you taking the time and talking with me tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my goal is, like we were talking earlier, I'm in the same seats. I still attend classes. I listen to presenters. I know what it's like to sit in a presentation. I don't want to waste your time, and I want you to leave with the knowledge that you need to be safe. Like that's the true reality to it. And it's like, well, how do you master giving a topic out to a bunch of firefighters who are go-getters who want to actually have a nozzle in their hand or a chainsaw in their hands, ripping on a roof? How do I present something that seems to be boring in information and make you sit there for 4 hours? And so,
yeah.
I've worked hard at it, and I appreciate that compliment that you didn't fall asleep, because that's my ultimate goal. But
well, I like to do, because you're really upfront and honest about everything, and I just loved how you're like, dude, I'm going to teach you some stuff. If you want to learn about it, cool. If you don't, then maybe you can just maybe walk around the parking lot for a little bit and come back when you want to learn some more shit. And it was just really cool how you were just so nonchalant about it. And again, the videos, the PowerPoints, they were all really beneficial to what we were wanting to learn, and we walked away with a lot of knowledge. So I'm excited for everybody to listen to you and see what they can get from you for this podcast. I'm going to jump into your bio, and so that way we know who you are, where you came from. So Paul's bio: 18 years of dedicated service in the fire service. Paul is currently honored to serve as a firefighter paramedic based in Colorado. Throughout his journey, he has cultivated a wealth of expertise, specializing as a tech rescue technician for over 13 years, alongside being certified as a hazmat technician. His commitment to enhancing firefighter safety extends beyond the front line. Paul proudly contributes to advisory panels with ULFSRI and collaborates with NFPA on a variety of projects. Recognizing the vital need for collaboration between the fire service and OEMs, Paul is privileged to serve on the SAE 2990 committee, where they strive to bridge the gap, ensuring seamless coordination in handling lithium batteries. As the founder of the NextLevel Training Network, Paul is passionate about empowering firefighters nationwide with the knowledge and skills necessary to navigate the complexities of electric vehicles and lithium battery incidents. Through comprehensive training programs, they equip their students with invaluable insights into effective strategies for managing lithium battery fires across various platforms, including vehicles, bikes, scooters, and energy storage systems. Driven by a relentless dedication to advancing firefighter education and safety standards, Paul is deeply committed to making a meaningful impact within the industry, one training session at a time. Whew. All right. And hopefully I can stop stuttering. Man, awesome. Love the bio. let's get into it, Paul. So first off, where did your company come from? How did you develop it? The name, everything about it. Like what got you passionate to start building this platform of yours?
Yeah, well, it was a passion in the fire service, right? Like it started as just wanting to learn. Oddly enough, the company started as an opportunity for me to write off my travel expenses. That was it was it was this is getting expensive. How do I, take this back to my taxes and write it off as, you can write off X amount of stuff as a firefighter back in the day, your union dues, your, lunches and things like that. Even that's kind of going away now. But back then it was, well, if I created a business, I could just say that I was going to learn more, and these expenses that I incurred from learning to teach people later on in my career and grow this business, the government would have to reimburse me. That was the ultimate goal. And it worked a little bit, like I wrote off stuff. I don't know how much it really gave me. And then I ended up meeting some people, some, great people along the way. And some of those people led me into getting into electric vehicles, specifically Teslas. And I had the opportunity to cut multiple Tesla vehicles up. I mean, we're talking 40-ish electric brand new Teslas. And I learned a lot about what these cars were capable of, how challenging they are on the extrication side of things. And when I started to go and attend my own extrication classes with people, where I was the student and I was learning, I started seeing instructors teaching old methods and methods that I was thinking in my head, that is not working. I just cut into all these Teslas, and I know these methods. These aren't my methods. These aren't their methods. These are just methods we've learned for years, and they weren't working on these Teslas and these ultra high strength steels. You couldn't cut in certain areas because there was orange cables. And I'm thinking in my head, this is when the company started to develop. And I started to think to myself, well, if I'm going to write off this business, and I started to get all these ideas that are different than what we're used to. I thought about it's kind of now the next level of extrication that we're starting to see out there in the world. It is not the old way of doing things. It's a whole new way. And I was like, sweet, I'm going to name my company Next Level Extrication, focus primarily on the growth of what's changing in this world. And that's my company to write off my travel expenses. And I'm going to start going to all these different classes, heavy extrication, whatever, you name it. I'm traveling nozzle forward. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go do stuff to learn more about the fire service while taking advantage of it through this company. And so originally that was the company name. It was Next Level Extrication for years, for eight or 9 years. That's what it was. And it was primarily focused on extrication. Never did I ever think I was going to be teaching anybody. That was never my goal. It was, I should say, teach people as a business. I thought I would teach people that are my friends. When I bring it back to the firehouse, I would get good at my job. I felt that was my ultimate goal. And next thing I know, people are like, well, dude, show me what you learned. And I'm trying to teach them. And then next person's like, show me. And I'm trying to teach these people. And then I got like, people are like, well, can you come teach our department what you learned? And it's like, well, sure. And so for a minute there, I was teaching people for free. I was traveling to departments in Colorado, local, and putting on extrication classes, $0.
Yeah.
Well, my wife is very, not fond of that. And she's like, you're not going to go teach and do all of this stuff and miss work and not bring home any money.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, duly noted. Company started to grow a little bit faster then, and I started to charge basically $250 a day. I thought that was enough. Well, you have a kid, another kid. My wife's sitting there saying this is $250 to miss an entire day of work. When, overtime, the math, that doesn't even compare. And then it's a company now, so I got to write all that money. So basically I walk away with like $40 after $250. And really, that's kind of how that company started. Now, to jump forward to what I'm doing now, all that changed was, again, I met more people, and very good, nice, helpful people that got me into NFPA and got me into FSRI. I'm very blessed. I don't even know how it happened. It was like a phone call with this person. Next thing I know, I'm working here. Next thing I know, this person tells me this committee needs help. And I'm like, I'll do it. I jumped in on everything. I wanted to learn more and more and more. And it started to be that I was learning more about the stuff I wanted to train on, which was electric vehicles. But it turned into the fact that there were fires with these things. And then it turned into stored energy, which is solar panels that Tesla was putting out, and battery banks. And then it turned into scooters are on fire and they're blowing up, and this is happening. And it just, like, over the last 7 years, I've been so busy. Things are moving so fast. I don't know. It was like the cards just kept aligning. Next thing I know, I'm now teaching about everything lithium ion batteries, cars, scooters, e-bikes. And so I had to change the company name. Instead of Next Level Training or Extrication, now we're talking about lithium ion battery fires. We're talking about fire behavior. We're talking about explosions. We're talking about people are dying, firefighters. And it was like, this is the next level of fire training that we have to be prepared for. So I changed the name to Next Level Training Network because it's a whole new branch of the future of the fire service. In a nutshell, that's how we got to where I got today.
That's cool. It's through hard work and education and some sacrifices there too. Sounds like you sacrificed a lot of time and money for something that you're really passionate about, and now you're here, teaching the world about it. And what sparked you? I know it sounds funny saying spark when we're talking about EV vehicles, but what sparked you about EV vehicles? Right? Like, what did you like? Like, I all of a sudden I liked engine work. All of a sudden I was all about hoses and nozzles and pressures and, GPMs and all the science behind that. What got you into all of a sudden that field? Because that is so specific and it's so important, but it's just that field that not a lot of people really start to dive into. So how did you really get passionate about that?
It's actually a really good question, because I've never been asked that, or have I ever thought about why would one dude who loves, especially me, I'm a trucker, and I think that from my class. I speak very proudly of that I love truck work. And I like to cut roofs and force doors and extrication. So I think if I had to look back at it, I think that what's unique about that is the fire behavior that comes from these vehicles isn't like anything we've ever seen before. And I'm going to go with the whole fact, being that I'm religious, I'm going to go back to the fact that I believe in God. There's for some reason I was funneled that direction. I don't know why, but I will tell you that there's a couple times in my career over the last 7 or 8 years since this has really gotten going, where I've thought about fire behavior that's possible with these things. For example, the fire blanket, the explosion potential. For me, when that was being pressed about 5 years ago, I immediately said, there's no way. I already know the chemicals that are going in there, the gases, the ignition, how these things break down. That's going to cause an explosion. That is the potential to hurt somebody. And I brought it up and I thought about it and I stewed on it. And I always had this hair that stood up on the back of my neck about this type of stuff, that there's a potential for a bigger risk with these things than what's being talked about. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden an article came out, which I knew about because I'm a part of the committee that did this. But as everybody in the fire service is probably watching this when they do, there's a recent article that came out about fire blankets and how dangerous they are and the explosion potential. Well, the test that we did on that was about 4 weeks ago, and the article came out about 5 days after the test ended because they found out it was that dangerous and they had to get that information out. I've been knowing about that for 5 years. How? I honestly believe it's God funneling me in a channel that's directing me towards the greater of the fire service, which is protecting us and talking about something that somebody's not talking about. And that's kind of what drove me to love it so much. You know, like if nobody's going to talk about it, I will. I'm going to bring up these hot topics. I'm going to bring up, you know, I'm going to push some buttons and see if it doesn't, you know, spiral up some minds of the fire service, and maybe we start to come up with a plan to figure this stuff out. And maybe that's what's so attracting to me to like that. I'm shooting from the hip here, dude. Because I've never been asked that before, so I don't.
Well, I think you did a great job answering it, man. It's just I love to ask those questions because, you know, there's so many different fields in our line of work, you know, and that there's all these different avenues you can take. And I'm always curious about why somebody likes truck work or engine work or EV or EMS, or, you know, there's got to be something that sometimes it's either a trigger, like something happened to them in their lives that it was really important, so they wanted to either just become a firefighter, or, you know, it was, you know, an awakening while being on the nozzle, or the fact that they got to cut open a roof and that was just the God moment for them, and all those different aspects in their life. And it's cool to be able to hear your background of you just love the science and data behind it, it sounds like, and it's interesting to you because it is kind of still like that unknown. And I think that's what we're very curious people. And I think like for that science behind the EV vehicles and the fires that's going on with them, I really do think that the science is what's intriguing a lot of people to dive further into it, because it came out so fast, right? The EV world, all of a sudden it was there. And then we're like, how do we battle this now? We only had to worry about combustible engines. Now we got to worry about battery packs. So how are we now battling this? And we're behind 8 ball. Actually, I think you even said it in your presentation. I'm pretty sure that's where I got it from, was you talked about that, is that we weren't prepared as in the fire service to deal with that technology and how we're going to battle. We just thought we could put water on it, and all of a sudden we can't, and they're not going out. So now we got to play catch up.
Well, and that's that like the why, right? Like I feel like anytime there's a why in the fire service, if you're my brain, it's like, well then no, like give me the why so I can better understand it. It makes me want to dive in and understand it more. Like pressures, you talked about being an engine guy. And if you're thinking about pressures, well, I kind of want to know, why is that pressure being reduced through this hose line with this nozzle different than this nozzle? Like I understand it's working, and you tell me the math, and I get on the pump panel and I pull these levers and I set the PSI. You're telling me to do that. I get it. But why is it doing that? And why am I getting 175 GPM out of this hose line with that nozzle, but a different hose line with a different nozzle only gets 160, 165. So, and I'm saying PSI, same pressures for both of those. So,
right.
You know, that is something where when you're an engine guy, that just sucks you right into that. Next thing you know, you're like, well, tell me more. Well, I'm an extrication guy. You know, that's my passion, was extrication to begin with. And when you start to get into the cars, and that's what happened with the lithium ion batteries, is it was cars having ultra high strength steel, having high voltage energy running through them. Extrication was changing. Then it turned into like, well, what are these batteries? And they're like, well, when they catch on fire, they're super dangerous. So it's like, well, why are they dangerous? And then they start to show you how dangerous they are. And it's like, well, and then they didn't want to talk about it. And I'm like, well, why doesn't Tesla want to talk about why these catch on fire and why they're so bad? And nobody wanted to talk about it. And it was like, hush, hush. So I started diving into it and calling people, engineers, and then it turned into like lithium ion batteries, because cars are lithium ion batteries. So then I'm like, well, wait a second. If this car on the side of the road can do this and it's outside, that's fine. It's not next to an exposure. Well, what about this cell phone that's in a house? You know, what about the scooters, the e-bikes, the stored energy panels? And then like, it just was like a spiral. And then I'm like, well, why is it doing that? And everybody's like, well, it doesn't really do that every time. Well, why doesn't it do it every time? You know? And so that, I'm just trying to get answers because I sense there's something wrong here. I can see the end result. I want to get the end result to ultimately provide that for the fire service, so they walk out of my class or out of the firehouse with a mindset that changes them from the way that they fought legacy to modern construction style fires to now a lithium ion battery fire that's different than modern and legacy. This lithium ion battery fire will kill you. Modern had potential to kill you. Legacy would pretty slim chance, depending on the average fire, just an average, not backdraft or any of that stuff. Well, lithium ion batteries are creating a backdraft almost immediately and, within 30 seconds. And so it's just like, well, why is it doing that? And if we don't get an answer out there, then the fire service is going to have another death. And you know what I'm saying? So it's just it just keeps pulling me in and wanting me to provide a better class and provide more information and just do the right thing. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, man, you're doing a great job with it. Like I said, you've obviously done your homework. You've been doing this now for quite some time. And I love that you, like right now, when you're talking about it, I can tell you get worked up for it. You get passionate about it, and you just want to give everyone a better chance of being able to put these fires out. There's a lot of products out there that I've gotten into the EV world. What do you think about all of that? Like, there's just so much out there, right? You like talked about the blanket. Right. And then we have, I got to meet a great group of people and they're out of New Jersey. And I saw them at FDIC and they had the turtle. And that's the turtle, going underneath the car and it's taking care of that battery pack underneath. Have you tested or got to see a lot of these products that are out there now? That's because the EV is out there. And I've seen a lot of companies come out and there's a whole crap load and they're all trying to get into the market of how to battle these things. Some are like really because they want to help and others because they want to make a buck. So what are your thoughts on some of these products out there?
Well, man, you're going to get me on a pretty tough topic here because my initial belief is it's just people looking for money and they're looking to try to provide an answer. Sure. But they want to make a bunch of money out of that. Their end goal isn't, in my belief, I want to save a firefighter's life. Their end goal is I want to just provide something to be able to put this car out. And when we get into these cars catching on fire, there's such a massive problem with the explosion potential, not only with inside these cars when all the car doors are shut and they're off gassing, but when these cars get into accidents, they immediately catch on fire. The 12-volt battery system shuts down. The high voltage battery system could shut down. The doors can lock on these people, trapping them inside them. And, putting water on a car fire, whether it's a lot of water or a little amount of water, it's water. If you tell me I got to be on scene for 8 hours or you're going to provide me with a tool that's going to put this thing out in 2 hours, I don't care. I'm at work for 24. So those aren't my issues. My issues are like, we're missing the big problem, which are people are dying in these things. I mean, I've, probably from our class that I last had with you, I bet you I have 5 to 10 more stories of people who were driving down the road who wrecked their car, who have now died inside these cars because they.
Yeah, you talked about one story you shared when you were doing the education where there was a report of a person locked into their vehicle and it caught fire and they couldn't get out.
Yep.
And they struggled. They almost died in that vehicle. That stuck with me.
Yeah, I have another one where a guy hit a tree up here in Colorado, put in an autopilot and him and a passenger and the car caught on fire and the passenger got out. He was safe, came back to the car door, realized that the driver wasn't getting out. He said he was awake, alert. He just wasn't really moving or doing anything with his hands. And he basically tried to open up the car door and the car door was locked and the car caught on fire and burned his friend to death. And he watched his friend die right in front of his eyes.
Damn.
And we just had one about 6 months ago on the highway, same thing. He hit a Jersey barrier and it ripped the underbelly of the car up and it caught on fire and bystanders were on scene trying to open the car door as he's pounding on the window and he burned to death in the car and the bystanders had to run away. And that was just right on a major highway here in really close to my area where we work. Wow. So, that stuff is the bigger problem. So I love that the products are out there, right? It's just a tool for the toolbox is what I like to say. My class is strictly developed around life safety concerns like we just talked about. The one for the citizens, the other life safety concern is the gases that are coming off these cars and what they do to us, what they do to our bunker gear, how harmful they are to our respiratory system, to our skin, the cancer causing carcinogens that are in there. I just like to address that because those are the two big issues I have, right? It doesn't change. Life safety, incident stabilization, property conservation. So I'm still trying to address those things. And then ultimately, like nobody has all this money to go buy one of these things. Not everybody, I teach departments that are large, small, volunteer, career combination, whatever. I want to be able to provide a class for people that are out there and in a single station, where they're responding from home. I want to give you a tool that will allow you to put this car fire out without purchasing anything really additional. You don't need to have this massive nozzle, something that may require 250 to 400 gallons of water. I want to be able to let you do that with your tender, with your pump that you have on your engine. And that's the class that I strive to push for, is teach them the easy, simple stuff. And then if you want to add that turtle or the other products that are out there underneath the car, then that is a tool for the toolbox. But I tend to side to like the companies more that are firefighters trying to create a solution, because it's other firefighters and I support them. If it's big companies just trying to get in there and weasel their way in there to make a product for someone to buy it, and it, I don't like that. I think they don't look into it. They're not researching it enough. But the firemen that I know that own a couple of these things, I fully support them, because they're firemen doing fireman things, and that's trying to find a solution. And I love it. And I want to support them in any way I possibly can. But like I said, the bigger companies, and I'm not going to mention names of these companies, but they're just in it for the wrong reason. They don't have firefighters supporting them. They're just, the person who's out there selling it is, if you sell this, we're going to give you 20% commission. And like, that's not who I'm going to support in that.
Yeah. You're not a bulletin board.
No.
Yeah. Like that. So, do you get to go to a lot of these labs and do a lot of these tests as well to get your knowledge? Like you said, you go to UL, and I love FSRI. I love what they present. I love the knowledge, the videos. They actually like a lot what you do. They make it really easy to learn. Yeah. I fully support their online educational videos, and that you can get all that knowledge. Do you get to go there and do a lot of that research with them?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Here's the thing about FSRI that you have to think about, is why they're so good. Okay. Because they're very humble in the grand scheme of things. They have very smart engineers. These guys could build anything and make it happen. And what's so cool about that is, like, you couldn't teach a fireman or make a fireman learn how to make whatever they're making to catch it on fire. But what they don't have, they are more than happy to invite in, which is firemen and firefighters, to come there and say, hey, listen, love what you're testing there, but that's not even how we fight fire. We don't do that. We do this. And they're like, really? All right, let's try that. And let's try this. And let's try that. I mean, in my committee specifically, we burn these cars, right? We burn probably, I can't even know now, maybe 40 cars, electric vehicles. Some of this stuff I can't talk about because I'm on a non-disclosure form, but
gotcha.
One of the things I think I'm comfortable talking about is it's mine anyways. It was the move I hate come up with it. They were trying to extinguish these car fires, and the way that they were going about doing it, I just basically raised a hand and was like, well, that's going to waste water, and we're trying to, find an end result. How much water does it really take? Well, if you do the right steps, it takes X amount of water. Well, they basically came, and flipped the vehicle. So that's what I teach in my classes. Well, we're going to flip these things with chains, with winches, with grip hoists, you name it, we're going to flip it. And it's real easy to do once you do it. So they basically incorporated that with no questions asked. It wasn't like, Paul, we're not going to do your move and, shut up or whatever it is. It was like, okay, I like it. Next thing you know, they do a test. They bring a forklift in there with some chains and they stick it onto the B post and they lift this car up, and then the firefighters come in and they suppress it. And dude, it like almost went out like you would expect it to go out. And that's why I love FSRI. They're doing the multifamily right now. I mean, they solicited what firefighters would like to come work with us. I mean, what company would ask for help, and what company is so good that people volunteer their time to go there for the better of the good of the fire service? Like, dude, FSR is great, man.
They really are. It's just so cool. And I also love that they put a face to it too. They're not just like, it's not just a lab, white coats, and they're just doing things, and there's no face, there's no passion, not even really passion, but there's just no feeling behind it. And I like Keith Stakes, that he's pretty much the man behind it. He's the face of it, but he's out there in those labs doing the work, and he explains things really well. He's out at the conferences bringing that knowledge, and that's what I really like about that too. It's not just something you log on to and then you just do it's almost like Vector Solutions, right? Target Solutions. You log on, you do your education, and everyone falls asleep. They fast forward so they can get their certs, But they're out there and they're at the conferences, and he's presenting this great information. And I went to Pensacola, Florida. I went to County Fire Tactics, and they were there. They had a prop. They had their water mapping prop inside the garage. And I got to see that. We had one in New Hampshire at our academy. And so it was awesome to see that County Fire Tactics. And they were there. Their whole team was there to give everyone really good education, dropping that knowledge. He presented that information about water mapping, and a lot of people got something out of it. And most times those kind of platforms or those kind of companies, you're just going to see videos of. They're just YouTube videos. And I like that UL is out there preaching the knowledge and letting firefighters get their hands on it, and they can see it firsthand, so they can actually see the science. They can understand the data, because like we said earlier, sometimes water mapping or EV, especially EV, can be very, very dry. If you're not really passionate about it, if you're not really interested in it, it's just something you just take because it's part of the job. But I like the fact that they're really out there showing people this real life data and knowledge. And just like you're out there showing people how to do these things, not just talking about it, but you're out there doing it. Now, you talked about with conserving water, and I think from your education that you gave when I was there, you talked a lot about foam versus water. And if I can remember correctly, you said foam really doesn't make a difference, right?
It doesn't work, really, is what it comes down to. I believe, again, this is the same kind of conversation we probably had back then with the fire blankets, that they don't work. If I recall, I mean, this, again, before this study came out, I still was a believer that they didn't work. Foam is no different than a fire blanket, and that's my belief. The difference with the fire blanket is it traps in the gases, but it's trapping the heat is what it's really doing. So foam covering it and suppressing it, it's just going to cover the issue temporarily. So it probably will put the fire out and look like it's out very quick. But all it's doing is trapping that heat and allowing that cell to get hotter and hotter and hotter. It also penetrates. So it's got an ability to penetrate into all these holes and into these nooks and into the fire, deep into these cells. And then foam is a conductor to electricity. So we're talking about, we're going to cover something, we're going to penetrate into the cell, and then we're going to create a conductor inside the cell. You're going to create this thing to reignite is what's going to happen. It's going to look like everything's been resolved super quick, maybe even get enough time to ship it off to the junkyard. And then it's going to sit there for 3, 4, 5 days. The foam's going to dissipate. And then all of a sudden that conductor is going to start kicking in. The batteries are going to start heating up. And then you're going to get a thermal runaway in a junkyard. Now, is there eventually going to be some sort of foam out there that could possibly have that fixed and resolve that issue? Maybe. I'm not completely eliminating foam. There are companies currently right now doing pretty shady things where they're putting UL on there because it is a UL rated foam. That is true for class A, B, and C fires, or whatever it might be. It is not rated for lithium ion battery fires, but they'll re-add after UL's given the U, the L, and circles it. Then at the bottom, these companies will add into their literature lithium ion battery fires. And now it's got the UL stamp, and they're sitting there going, hey, this is UL certified for lithium ion battery fires. And, one thing I don't do this all the time, and I'm not a weasel by any means, but if I see something that doesn't look right or I'm unaware of it, I have a boss, his name's Adam at UL at FSRI, and I'll send him an email that says, hey, is this foam really rated for lithium ion batteries? And he goes, no. Or, he'll check, and he's like, nope, that's not. And I'm like, well, here's the sticker. and I'll send them the sticker because I took the picture of it that they're putting on there. And so that stuff is happening. And I want the fire service to be aware of that, you could potentially have a salesperson tell you that they have a UL rated foam that is suitable for lithium ion batteries. And that is not true until you contact UL and ask them yourselves. Do not believe it. The fire blankets are the same way. Fire blankets were rated for car fires. They did the exact same thing. UL put a UL stamp on there. Yep, these can handle car fires. And then they just added the literature for EV fires. And that was never approved by UL. And I think that's why UL and FSRI made that huge push over the last month to put out an article that states that these things can be dangerous, explosive in nature, and cause injury to the fire service. So be careful of it.
So when you find that out, and and UL they get the word that someone maliciously, if you will, put that stamp on there that says it covers when it doesn't, can UL like contact them and say, hey, we're revoking this stamp? Or like, how do they go about doing that? Does the UL please come in and say, get rid of it? You can't do that?
Dude, I'm sure they got some serious attorneys. I don't know any of that stuff. I'm just a little minion, dude. I'm sure I'm only one of a handful of people that are like, hey, that's serious enough to even report that to UL, to let them know that this is happening. I will tell you that the last time I had a conversation, I was in an airport. I can't remember where I was going. And I had that question brought up to me because these people, and I don't want to mention the type of foam it was, okay, because I'm not trying to sell anybody out, but I will tell you that they contacted my department. My chief contacted me and said, hey, what about this? And I goes, they just sold us on it. They said that it's for EV fires. And I go, I just had a meeting with my panel, and they said there's no foam out there right now that's rated for lithium ion batteries. And he goes, well, they just said it is, and they were willing to ship us an entire crate of this stuff. And I go, Chief, I wouldn't order that. He was a battalion chief for us. I go, I wouldn't order that. Let me just contact Adam at my work. I contacted Adam, and he goes, all right, that's exactly what we've been told, or I've heard this. I can't remember the exact conversation. And he's like, our attorneys are going to handle it. And that was the end of the conversation. So I don't know what happened from that point on, but I wouldn't. It's probably pretty powerful company. I would assume. I don't really want to mess with them.
I don't blame you, dude.
I'm happy to be a part of it. I don't. But yeah, it kind of sucks because some of that stuff can be dangerous to firefighters if they believe that it was deemed safe. They may use these things, and so that's kind of the good thing about FSRI and UL is they're constantly trying to keep the firefighter safe. Like I could only imagine the amount of people that are constantly just working like nonstop, doing stuff like that, trying to find people that are falsifying whether they're certified. Is it capable? Is it not capable? And it's got to be just a massive machine working over there, dude.
I have no doubt. There's a lot involved in that, and like you said, those are people who are way smarter than us that can control the whole dialogue of that one.
Yeah, let me just tell them to lift it with some chains. That's all I'm good for, dude. I'm out.
Yeah, peace.
Yes.
So we were talking earlier, you're also presenting some other items too, not necessarily just EV fires and foam and everything else, but you're also starting to present a new topic as well. So you're starting to teach a class that's it's more about principles, and you said it's called Remember Where You Came From. And I really love what you're doing with that. And I talk a lot about that. And I firmly believe we got to remember where we came from. And when we talk about promoting and doing it for the right reasons, and trying not to do it for the selfish reasons, can you talk a little bit about the new presentation that you're building?
Yeah, I mean it's based around exactly what the title states, but to hit that a little bit more in depth, it's something that I have to remind myself of daily. I get that I am teaching and have been blessed to teach in front of thousands of firefighters that would even want to listen to me. But the reality is as I'm teaching, I have to remember myself that I also have to be a student. And there are people in these classrooms that know way more than I do about certain things that can make me better at my job, whatever that is. It could be as simple as just being more personable. to all the way to some unique way to flip the car different than I've done in the past. And so I have to remember as I'm teaching and people may think that I'm up here. I don't think I'm up here, but people may think. I have to remember that I am also the person sitting in the chair that is looking to all of these students as I'm teaching to them to give me something back that I can take home. And I started seeing it a lot in my classes. I was at FDIC teaching. I had 480 students in there, and it was really cool to see that anybody would want to talk to me there, and it was a powerful moment. And in the end, I can't tell you this. I don't know how many people were in there that were chiefs. I know there was a couple. I had some very, very nice compliments from some chiefs who emailed me and talked to me and said kind words like you said, but I don't feel that most of them were chiefs, and based on a percentage of the amount of classes I teach and I travel around the country, most of my students are firefighters. They're go-getters. They're down to earth. They just want to be there. They want to get it done. They want to learn something new. And not only do they want to learn something new, they get passionate about it just like I do. They get all this information to take it back, to make their fire department better, to make their crew better. And they immediately go to their officer, and their officer's like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Or you get an officer who attends my class and they're like, man, I'm going to take this on. I'm going to go to my battalion chief and tell him right away, we need to implement this. We need to implement this. I see this huge problem with lithium ion batteries in houses. We got to create a new search pattern. We need to think, because those are things I'm teaching in my classes now, is different search styles, different, investigation techniques as far as carbon monoxide alarms, because of what these things can present. And they want to go back there and tell the chief, I think we need to upgrade this, and we should be going on air if we have carbon monoxide alarms with lithium ion batteries in a house. And their chief's like, we're not going to do that. And, you could pretty much count on every one of us. We all start where we love the job. We're passionate about the job. We want to create this position to be better. We want our department to be better. And we're all looking to change it for the better of the fire service, not because we want to be pushers or, just be a nuisance. We're doing it because we love it. And if you crush us and bring us back down every time we come up with a new idea, you will find that those people will never again suggest change, and they will become the person that just goes, whatever, I don't really care what we do. I've tried it. They're going to just say no anyways. And one of those things could be enough to save your life. And you just got to push harder and harder. And then you piss them off more and more and more. And eventually they fold and they go, okay, whatever you want. And you got what you want. It saved, you changed a policy, whatever that was. But what did it need to be that difficult? Did it need to be that hard? And there's only 4% or 5% of those firefighters that are pushing that hard to change a policy, pushing that hard to get new nozzles on their rig, pushing that hard to change out their hose because of the friction loss reduction with the new hose versus the old hose. It's lighter, it's not as heavy. All of these things, they're doing it to move faster, to get the fire out quicker, to save somebody's life. But as you promote, you tend to forget where you came from. You now all of a sudden wear a different colored pin, a different badge, your gold versus silver. And now the sun, it's just no. And you don't want to go do the work that I'm trying to change and make things better for us because you think it's me. You think I'm doing this for me. And it's irritating to you. And that's the reality of what this class is to embrace change, embrace that individual that wants to push the envelope. Because if you push that, and this is so cliche, then the bird's going to fly, and they're going to fly forever. And you probably will never have to really stop them. Who would you rather have on your side? The dude or the chick, the firefighter that just wants to push into that fire, and I got to grab them on their SCBA pack and pull them back and say, hold on a second, we're going to go in there, let that thing flash real quick. Now let's go do our search. Or do you want the person that's still back at the rig? They haven't even got their bunker, their SCBA on yet. And you're going, dude, let's go. And so it's so much easier to have the person that wants to fly, let the bird fly, than it is to try to pull the mole out of the hole. Like that, to me, is a no-brainer. But I will tell you, I watch it so many times and it's so frustrating. I don't have any chiefs attend any of my classes, hardly any, in a percentage wise compared to the amount of firefighters. And this is a topic that can only be changed at a level that's going to save a firefighter's life by a chief. That's the only way it can be changed at that level. And company levels, those individuals who attend my class, they're going to change the way they search now. They're going to change the way they investigate. But you're not going to make a cultural change in your department without a chief being there to allow some changes to those policies. And so that's when this was like, you know what? I think I want to start to teach a class, and start to embrace this culture that we're starting to go away from at such a high rate that I'm concerned with what's going to happen in 10 more years in the fire service if you keep shutting all these firefighters down that are proactive and getting after it and trying to make this place a greater place.
I love it, dude. Like, I didn't want to interrupt at all because there was like so many amazing sound clips in there. Because I mean, you're literally like saying what I'm always thinking, and there's a lot more of us out there. There's a lot of us out there that believe in that same statement, that we are wanting to do things to make our service better, to make our department better. And it's not about like glorification of ourselves, of like we know everything, but we want to make the job easier for ourselves and for our brothers and sisters. And, like when people ask for a certain kind of hose or nozzles, it's not because it's the coolest thing out there. And, and because Colorado's doing it, I want New Hampshire to do it. It's because we know that things work. And because the classes that we take, we're hoping that our departments and our chiefs will believe in us, that we have that knowledge now to give to them. And I had a great conversation with A.B. Turin, and we talked about that. Like you have a suitcase and 20 miles outside your department, and they're going to believe in you. But within your own home, sometimes they don't believe in you, and you have to have an outsider come in and give that same knowledge that you just got from a class that you took. Like if I went to go see Paul Shoemaker and I have all this knowledge about how to attack an EV fire, is my department going to believe me? Is my department going to have faith in me to deliver that education and tell you, hey, we're doing this kind of wrong. I'm going to show you a better way. Because that's what they invested that time, money for me to go to this class. And sometimes, a lot of times, we're spending our own money, right? We're paying our own airfare. We're paying registration fees to go to these classes because we want to be better. We want to be able to provide that knowledge to our departments. And it's frustrating for a lot of people out there when they do that and they come back and the department's like you just said, no, we're not going to do it that way. We have our way to do it. And you either get on that train or find another one. And that's really difficult. And I've come up from departments like that. And it definitely is demoralizing. It takes that passion away from you. And how do you expect people to have buy-in when you tell them, no, I don't care what you just learned. It's all BS. And we have our ways of doing it. And, they might tell you their why, but when you actually have that science and data that you just got new stuff, because their why might be dated material. And I think that's really important that a lot of people forget, is that the departments will say, yeah, we do it this way because, but that why and their data is like 20 years old. And then you have a firefighter that's got fresh new data that's literally 7 days old and they bring it and it just dies on the floor because that department doesn't want change.
Well, you literally, out of all the jobs in this world, all the jobs, I would have to say the top 5%, like our job is in the top 5% for the most consistently changing jobs. Consistently. Like you can never, the day that we've always said this, every firefighter says that the day that you think that you know everything's the day you need to retire.
Yes,
That's
sir.
not just like that's a statement, because the houses are constantly changing. The roads are changing. The cars are changing. Your planes are changing. You got ARF, you got trench rescue, you got all these things are changing. The technology's changing for how we fight or handle all of those issues. And so you may be great at rope. I was TRT for years, and we had this new guy come into our fire department a couple years back, about 7 years ago, and he's way more dialed in than any of us were on ropes. He started implementing new things about ropes, and it was like, well, hold on a second. We've never seen anything like that before. It's completely changing, even though it's the same pick-off situation. We're now doing pick-offs with different technology. So we have to now learn it that way. And that's the thought. And so how, when you get to the top as a chief or a battalion chief, do you feel that it's even at all necessary to tell someone to stop pushing the envelope or to keep your mouth shut? And if that's the true way that you feel, is you want me to keep my mouth shut, and I'm not speaking specifically about me and generalized, then it's probably time for you to retire, right? Like, because then you're not willing to listen to the fact that we have change. I want to be a chief. I do want to be a chief someday because of how passionate I am about this. But one of the things that you brought up and I wanted to address was my thought as a chief when it comes to training is, I am going to pay for you, but here is my expectation. You will come back here and you will put on a class. I'm going to already schedule you out on the training calendar. You're going to have 2 weeks or whatever, however big your department is, and you're going to have to teach everybody. So do you really want to go to that class and learn? If you do, you're going to have to take notes. You're going to have to really learn how to do it hands-on, practical, written. You're going to have to give a little presentation. Are you good at writing, doing PowerPoints? I am. Then have at it. You're going to teach this next class for me. Now, I believe that you can do that to the same individual year after year after year? No, you probably have to spread the wealth and let other people let their wings out so they can fly, right? But if you don't pay for these people, I'm not going to mention, we had a chief that worked for us. He does not. Right now, we have probably one of the best chiefs in the world. Like, in my personal opinion, our head chief is unbelievable. Our assistant chief is unbelievable. But this is an older chief, quote unquote, said, why would I spend money to invest in you? You should want to spend money to invest in yourself. That's exactly what was said to me when we asked if we could get a training budget so we could try to go to some of these trainings, because we do have to fork it out of pocket and pay for it ourselves. And I thought to myself, that's the day I don't like you. Like, right away, I was like, I don't like this guy at all. He really, not much he could say at this point for the rest of his 5 years he spent with us, where I could ever look at him in the face and be like, you really care about us. No, I still respected the man and still do. I mean, he's a chief and he worked hard to get where he is, but that just is not probably the best thing to say to somebody when you first met them. And that was at a table of dudes that are type A personalities that are on the TRT team. We're at our TRT station. We have a heavy rescue. And that was the thing that he said to all of us.
That just kills it. And you're like, well, screw it. Then I'm not going to bother to do any of it. And I had my previous department I worked for, I almost had that same statement where we happened to be talking about the education that I had and the classes that I took. And my chief just said, well, you just did it for yourself. You didn't do it for us. And I kind of battled him on it. I'm like, no, what do I get? What do me personally get out? I'm not going to hoard it. I'm not just going to take a class to take a class. I want to be able to teach this. I want to be able to be valuable to our department. Yeah. And he made it sound like it was just a selfish reason why I was taking classes. I took a swift water class. So I took 1 and 2, and I was really proud of that, because granted, where I live, we don't have a lot of swift water, but I wanted to be able to get on a team and provide those services in our general area. Plus, if the situation ever calls for it, you would now have somebody who can help you in that field. And it's not just swift water, it's ropes and everything else that goes along with it. And he just said, that's just for you. You did it for yourself. And it had no benefit to our department. Man, that was a buzzkill. And I was like, wow, he really cared about all that energy, time, and that I spent to do this, to be completely unappreciated. Yeah. And there's a lot of them out there. Again, there's really good chiefs. Like, I'm very blessed for the department that I'm on now. The new department I joined, like you talked about, like, if you're a chief, you're going to tell your guys, if you want to go to these classes, remember everything, write it down, take a picture, because you're going to be teaching it. My department does the same thing. We went to FDIC. They paid for us to go to FDIC. The stipulation was, you guys are going to bring that back. You are going to be teaching classes of anything that you took. And we were fully aware of that. And we want to do that. That's why we took the class, because there was classes that I took that I know we can improve on in my department and around the state. So I love that. And that's investment in your employees. That's investment in morale. That's an investment for growth and retention. And when you have chiefs, I think it comes down to when chiefs say things like that, it's because they're threatened. It's because now that growth is going beyond them. They might not have that knowledge and that education, so they can't wrap their head around it. And now they're relying on you to teach them. And honestly, like you said, there's alpha male personalities, and some of the people I've come across, it really hits that to a T. The alpha personalities, they don't want somebody else, especially someone lower ranking than them, teaching them something they don't know.
Well, I mean, what the disconnect, and this is something I address too, is like, where is the reward for you as you get older in your career as a chief? Your reward comes from empowering the people below and watching them make like phenomenal accomplishments. Like that
Yes, sir.
is joy to me. Right now, where's my joy? Fighting a fire, kicking ass, having fun. When you promote to a chief, my joy is watching that person below me promote to a lieutenant, watching that person promote to a captain, now watching that person put on a class, learn how to teach my class. Now they're teaching extrication. And then you're going, man, look at how cool all these people are. And then you look at God, again, I hate to bring back a little bit of religion. I don't know if you are, and I'm not trying to put religion, but you look at God, he just pushes you out there, sits back and puts his hands up and is like, look at all these people working. Look at how good they are all doing. And that is,
dude, God's got a plan for all of us, man. And he's guiding us in the right direction. And
totally.
I'll get on my tangent. Like, if it wasn't for things that happened in my life, and God kind of pushing me, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. If I didn't believe he had a purpose, this wouldn't be happening. I wouldn't be talking to you on this platform, and I wouldn't be doing half the things I've been doing now because God pushed me into a different direction. And I listened to him. He's like, dude, you have potential. You need to follow it. And I'm going to show you the path. And he did that. And it guided me to a lot of great people, and being able to talk to you and be able to travel. And we're all in the right direction for a reason. And it's amazing what he has for our plans.
Well, look at that as a leadership thing, right? Like if that is God transitions into chief, and chief transitions in battalion chief, and then battalion chief transitions into captain or lieutenant, you're now a captain of a station with 4 people in it. You sit back. You still have to do stuff, but you sit back and watch them. Hey, listen, guys, today I would like to do a search class, but I want you to teach it for me. Do you think you could come up with a cool plan for what we can go over? And then I'm going to be the student. I'm in on this. I want to search too. Teach me something different that I've never done. You're becoming a leader as you grow into your career. You are now showing your value to your employee, which happens to be your firefighter below you. And when you show value, you will have exponential growth out of that employee. And you'll just see it, like you said, morale will start to tick. You're not going to have separation. Like, when we get together, I always look at like an anthill. Think of an anthill. That is the fire service in most fire stations, fire departments, right? You're just on an anthill, you're cruising around. Nobody's like really talking to each other. They're just kind of running into each other and then cruising over here. You drop one rock on that anthill, and what do those ants do? They attack that rock. Well, guess when we work really well together? When that's a structure fire and that rock is now a fire. We in the fire service get together so well when it comes to work, and we will just crush it. Everybody gets their job done. We stretch hose, we force entry, we do all these things. The problem that's disconnected is where did you come from? We're creating that once the fire is over, we go back onto the mound of the anthill and we just scatter and just start bumping our heads, and everybody's frustrated and nobody's really kind of doing anything on this anthill. And that's not what you want. You want everybody on that anthill serving a purpose and doing something and empowering them for their next mission. And then you're starting to increase that morale. And instead of being on the anthill, you're in the den. And now you're down inside there mingling and getting things to work and building the nest or whatever the hell ants do underground there, right? Like, but you see what I'm getting at. And that's what we're creating as these chiefs are growing up and not becoming firemen's chiefs. They're becoming administrative chiefs and immediately shutting down such valuable, impressive characters, like people that you would just be blown away to hear their life what they've been through in the military to what they're doing now and what they have to offer, and physical fitness, maybe their expertise, and just, it could be everything and anything. And it's so sad to watch these people come in with such motivation. And like I said, you come in with 100% motivation out of 100% of your people, within a very short amount of time after probation, it's already dropped down to 80% with motivation. Within 5 years or 3 years of their career, they're down to 50%. Within 5 years, you're down to, 20%. And after their, 7 years, there's that 7 year mark. After the 7 year, you're down to 5% are willing to push the envelope hard enough to where they'll take a write-up for being so annoying. They'll take a write-up to implement change,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And then in 7 years, you lost it.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong, dude. I love the way you put that down into numbers, dude, and that totally makes sense. And you're not wrong at all. And again, I've seen it. I've been there. I get to talk to people who actually have had the same issues, and obviously, it sounds like you've been there as well. And I love that you're now branching out and giving that presentation as well, not just the EV side of it, but now you're doing leadership courses, and I think that's really important. And obviously you're talking from experience, and that's going to carry a lot of weight. It sounds like it's going to wake up a lot of people's minds as well, and hopefully chiefs will wake up and hear this as well. I think we're doing really better. I don't know how you might feel, but I do feel like we are moving in the right direction with leadership. I really do. Again, maybe because I'm now out of a toxic relationship with my leaders and I'm into a good place, but just from what I'm seeing from other people and talking to them, it sounds like we're slowly starting to get that back again. And I think we're starting to get into a good place. Do you think that it's starting to get there and starting to develop into a positive culture?
I do, actually. And I'll just give you like kind of a reason why, but personally, I was actually just recently asked to teach my entire organization the lithium ion battery fire class that I teach. And that was like going to be unheard of. Well, with our new chiefs, they're just, my head chief and my assistant chief, just awesome people. And Chief, I can name his name, it's not a big deal, but Chief Hackbarth, who's our assistant chief, basically was like my co-pilot in this. He's like, we're getting your policy signed off, and you're going to teach this class, and I'm going to make it happen, and we're going to work around your schedule. And when I went to go teach it, I thought, well, that's great. You're forcing everybody into it. So of course the people you force are going to have to sit in this class. Nobody wants to hear me teach. Well, within the first day, it was just all firefighters. And I think people were really rubbed wrong by me having to teach in front of them. And I think they got to see my humility. I think they got to see that I'm passionate about it and that I care about it. And I'm not better than anybody. And this is just information I want to give you. And that was it. Mm-hmm. The very next day, people must have, at shift change, told them, I could see their attitudes change, their faces changed. Then this third day, a chief showed up. And then that chief showed up. I said, thanks for coming, chief. You're the first chief to show up. I never even thought a chief would show up to this, unless it was mandated, and the chiefs were not mandated. And then next thing I know, the very next day, 2 chiefs came. The next day, 2 more chiefs came. And then at the very end, I said, he told me it was one of the best classes he'd ever been to. And I said, well, what made you come? And he goes, well, you're the first chief that showed up, who is my battalion chief, put in a phenomenal statement for you and said, we have to go to it. And next thing you know, people showed up to it. And so what I saw there was more that I didn't have the belief that their leadership would have chiefs show up to it. And I thought that they wouldn't want to ever hear from a firefighter like myself. I just thought it would be too low of a level for them. And that was not the case. So it shocked me. But then I start to see stories on social media of like, I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was in your area, where the chief was like in front of city council. And do you remember seeing this on Instagram? And he basically told them he can't put up with the city council funding anymore and how it's affecting his firefighters. And he will not be a chief of an organization that will not let his firefighters be successful. And he resigned on the spot. And that is powerful, because these kids were there and his wife was there and they were crying. But to me, that is leadership. Like, there's a problem. And I'm not saying you got to get to the point of quitting, but I never thought I would see that for a long time. And I do start to see that our chiefs are our firefighters are starting to climb the ranks and become chiefs. And these chiefs are crazy, like Eric from Then Enter Search, right?
Wheaton, Eric Wheaton.
He became a chief. So you got a dude who's good at truck work, loves the job, such a humble dude, passionate about the job, training people. He's now a chief. Like, dude, you can't even ask for a better chief to be up there that loves training and he's probably gonna empower his people to start teaching. And so, yes, in the long story short here, absolutely, with people like that climbing up the ranks, I think it's just going to get better and better and better.
I agree. I love it, dude. I love the message. And I do. We were definitely on the same page. And it's great to hear your insight of it and the fact that you understand what it is to be a leader. And I'm excited to see where you're going to go in your growth. And hopefully you do make the rank of chief to give that knowledge and that power and passion to people who are coming up beneath you. It's awesome to see. And again, I'm very fortunate. I have great chiefs who came up from the ground up, and they right now our administration is very strong, and they believe in the firefighters. They believe in giving us the power to teach others. And like you mentioned, being humble and humility goes a long way. And I think as instructors, as what we do, and we're teaching others, you need to have that, especially when you're teaching your people in your own department.
Yeah.
If you're not humble about it, if you kind of have an attitude that you know it all, you're especially your own guys to be like, screw this guy. You know, I knew it. I knew he was going to have this ego and this attitude, right? And they're just going to shut off. It might carry to you're going to Colorado, and then all of a sudden, again, you're teaching Hudson, New Hampshire. We don't know who you are. So, like, yeah, if you can have an ego all day long, we just be like, okay, this guy obviously is just very, has his boisterous way about him. But your own people, you're like, nope, I knew it. Paul didn't learn anything, and he's just gonna be boisterous and try to make sure that we all pay attention to him because he wants to be the rock star of the day. And people are gonna get selfish, or the people are gonna get a little jealous of what's going on. But like what you delivered, and again, when I saw you speak, you weren't like that. There's humility to it, and sometimes that is a tough pill to swallow. But I think that's what makes everyone what we're doing very valuable as instructors and very valuable as leaders, is knowing that you're not always going to be right, and that you had to learn the hard way and how to read people and read a room.
Well, and try to make passion, try to create passion with humility is hard. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at an external person, looking at you, I guess I would say, from the outside, right? And so the hardest thing I've done in my career is try to find out how to flip passion into humility, because passion rubs wrong to certain individuals and thinks that you're just a know-it-all, or you're pushing the topic too much and you're cocky or you're arrogant. It's not it. It's not it at all. Like, I am literally will be the first to tell you if I made a mistake, I'm sorry I made a mistake. Like, that wasn't but sometimes I don't even know I'm making a mistake because I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. I'm not doing it intentionally to rub you wrong or come off wrong. And so, that's probably one of my hardest lessons I've had to learn is, that's the way people perceive me. And if people perceive me like that, ask myself why, and then how do I fix that? Take your passion, flip it in humility, and people will listen.
I love it, dude. Fantastic stuff, man. Paul, I really appreciate everything you've talked about today. I love the knowledge you're bringing to the world about EV vehicles and leadership, and remember where you came from. I think it's super important that we all know that, remember it. Are you going to be presenting this new platform anywhere? Are you going to be traveling with that, or is it right now just working in your own area?
It's out there. I'm not a salesperson, and so I don't sell it. When people ask me, kind of what am I teaching out there? I tell them my list of things that I love to teach, and that is a course that I express to people. I don't have anywhere where that particular course is booked right now, and I'm really busy with the lithium-ion battery course. I'm completely sold out for all of 2025. I don't have a single day open, and so
wow.
I'm already booking into 2026, which has been great, and I'm blessed for that. But if people want to entertain that class, I'm all ears. Love to spread the word.
I love it.
Yeah.
So where are you going to be? Where can people find you? You said you're sold out. You're booked up. Where are you going to be where maybe people might be able to see your face and hear what you got to say about EVs?
As far as like most of the way that my classes are booked, it's all based off of departments, kind of like yours. The department pays for me to be there. They become the hosting agency, and then they can freely open it up to whoever they want. I'm just a
Gotcha.
flat rate fee. I'm not trying to scam the market, just flat rate fee me for my time. And then you can open it up and charge students to come. Some keep it in-house. They don't want to open it up. They just want their own firefighters just based on the size and the classroom.
Sure.
But I am going to Firemanship's conference in a couple weeks. I'll
Nice.
be out there for the 17th and the 18th are my 2 days I'm teaching out there. So if any people are out there and they want to talk to me, I love to talk. I mean, especially afterwards we have some drinks and hang out. That's kind of my thing. Is I'm very personable, so I do tend to feel like now that I teach, people don't want to talk to me. It's weird. Like I'll be talking with the instructors and the other guys, and students will come by and wave and they walk away. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing, dude? Just come say hi. Cause again, you have something to offer me. That's what I want. You're going to teach me
Yeah.
some lesson I need to learn. And then I taught this year in Fresno Fire Chiefs Conference in March, and they really, really enjoyed it, which again, I'm blessed for. So they invited me back next year. So in March next year, I'll be at the Fresno Fire Chiefs Conference again. And
Love
then
it.
I just had the boys out in the Bay Area Fire Conference contact me, and they set some dates with me as well. So I will be teaching the Bay Area Fire Conference next year. They told me the dates. I want to say that's in May. March is Fire Chiefs, Fresno Fire Chiefs conference, and then May, I believe, is the Bay Area Fire Conference. So that's kind of who I have open right now for conferences. And then other than that, man, I'm traveling to North Carolina. I'll be in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'll be in Canada. I'm flying up to Canada to teach a
Nice.
class. So got some cool stuff to come see some people and learn some things.
Great, dude. I love it, man. That's great. Making the rounds. Fantastic. So thank you, Paul, so much. You have your website. I was on it. So you have your website available. You're on Instagram. You're on the social medias. Obviously, you pretty much are an open book. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, what are they just going to get a hold of you on Instagram and just start message you if they have questions or how to book you?
Yeah, you can just call me on my cell phone. It's an open line. If you have questions, I have people call me, just ask me questions about lithium ion batteries. I've had people call me on calls where a car or a scooter's on fire. So that is not off the table. You can feel free to do that. But my best thing is text messages or phone calls. The social media platforms, I am on them, but I tend to miss a message or whatever it is. Emails, I get about 50 of them a month. So sometimes I miss those, but you can email me at nextleveltrainingnetwork@gmail.com. That nextleveltrainingnetwork.com is my website address. And then, yeah, Instagram, Facebook, all of those work. My phone number is 720-355-8375. You can call me on there. And yeah, if you want to schedule a class, I'll send you a course description with all the details and we'll hammer out a cool class and I get to come out and meet you.
I love it. Fantastic, dude. Thank you so much, Paul. Again, folks, you heard it. He's an open book. He's available. Just send him a message, email. He gave you the number, so make sure you actually rewind that back and write it down so you know how to call him and get a hold of him. I really appreciate everything you're doing, Paul. It means a lot. And again, that's why I wanted you on here, because I remember the class that I took, and I think it showed. Like, I remembered some of the things that you taught me, and it really resonated with me. And the way you delivered it stuck with me. And I do appreciate what you're doing. I love the way that you do present it and lay it down. It's not dry. It's not boring. You do a great job with presenting that important material that a lot of us really just kind of turn a blind eye to, because again, it's either hazmat or just boring stuff. We just put wet stuff on the hot stuff. Yeah. So I really do appreciate you delivering such great information to all of us. Paul, thank you so much. Next Level, it's awesome stuff. I just want to also make sure that we also know there's I always like to hit on mental health. I like to always support my guys from Next Rung. If anybody is needing help, if anyone needs to talk to somebody, reach out to Next Rung. They are raising money so people can get help. If you don't have insurance or you need help setting up an appointment, they are going to help you. You just need to reach out. The first step is making that call. The first step is talking to someone and let them know that you are struggling and you need help. And if you need some information about Next Rung, I'll be happy to help you and direct you into that so that you can get a hold of them and they can get the ball rolling for you guys. But please, we need you in this world. Don't make a permanent solution of a temporary problem. We need you in this world. People believe in you, and I believe in you. So make sure you do that. Again, I love what you're doing, Paul. Next Level is amazing stuff. Make sure you are paying attention to what he's putting out there. You all take care. Mazel tov.